I mean, you can't be a leader because a lot of women look at it like, no, I could lead in my household. I could do this in my household. What does that mean?
That's not how it's supposed to be, and that's why we bump heads. And I feel like it's a generational thing. And we could talk, we can go real deep on that, and I don't need to start that, but it's a generational curse. And how society have placed our men. And women have to stand up and be the mother and the father and the provider. And so then now you are so bad, you can't be told nothing, that when the right man come, you lose him because you're trying to be the man. I was finna say,
right,
man.
Can we be equal?
Oh, of course. Because see, at the end of the day, I'm the neck, my man's the head. So he can't make any moves without his wife. You know what I mean? It all works together. But you can't be the head of the house. You got to let the man be the head of the house. But it's a generational thing, and it's what we've been taught. To stand up, be strong, be the, you know what I mean? And a dude come, and everything about you is like a man.
So I just got sent this video, and honestly, this ain't gonna be one of those where I'm refuting everything that she's saying, because I think there's a lot of truth in what she's saying. Although I partly disagree in some spots, but ultimately, I just wish the conversation would have continued, in which that ain't her fault because she's on an interview. It's a small little clip and all of that. But mainly in two parts. I think the conversation around submission needs to continue as time for it. And that's first off, where we contextualize what type of man is worthy of being submitted to, in which in all fairness, I did see a video on Facebook they posted, her and her husband, where he did that, in which he described a man worthy of being submitted to as a man that was compassionate and consistent and diligent in the way that he followed God and quick to forgive and understanding and all of those different things, which that does not go without saying. We have to start adding that to this conversation, because right now it's still implied that, the qualifications of the old days that our great grandmothers and so on were cool with, of a man that's being submitted to, is simply his bank account and his balls. And with that, he's good. And that's not the case. But secondly, and I would say even most importantly, man, is the part where she said that a lot of women these days are single because they don't know how to submit, or because they're trying to be the man. They don't know their place or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of women out here who need to learn how to submit, in which, I'm not mad at her perspective, but from mine, I actually see more women these days who are single that know how to submit, but they've risen their standards for what they're going to submit to exactly what her and her husband described as a man that was worthy of submission. But they're not coming across that. Like, I think most single women, by the way, who don't want to be single, because some women do want to be single, but most women who don't want to be single, they are a lot like Fantasia was before she found her husband, or was found by her husband. They're dope, they're beautiful, and they got the right, mindset and all that other kind of stuff, but they're not settling for just anything. So think of it like this. If you got a resume that's proof of what all you can contribute to something and add value to something, you're not trying to just submit that to a shredder. Why? Because the end result is trash, and you work too damn hard on yourself and invested too much into yourself to end up with somebody that's going to take you to trash. You can be lit by yourself. And secondly, if I had to add something on to what she said, and I don't know necessarily that she was doing this whenever she was talking, but I don't necessarily like the reinforcement of the narrative that a woman is invalid without a man. The part where, the reason why a woman can't find a man these days, and we're here diagnosing the issue, but synonymously speaking as if women's singleness is an issue, and exclusively so. Like, we never say this about men. You never hear people, and check me in the comments if I'm wrong. You never hear people say, well, the reason why these men out here is unmarried and single and ain't got no woman that want to even husband them is because, no, it's always like a woman thing, in which I don't think anybody's goal should be to be unsingle. I don't. I think everybody's goal should be to be happy and healthy, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That includes women, because the problem isn't singleness, it's toxicity. So we got to mention that as well. But thirdly, and I'm going to wrap it up here, man. But thirdly, I don't think there's only one way to skin a cat. When we talk about relationships, it seems like we're talking about either submission or nothing else, like nothing at all else. Submission, or you don't know your place, you're trying to run over a man, you're trying to be a leader. Yes, this generation does usher in a new way to be in a healthy relationship, and that's what more so of like a co-pilot dynamic. She mentioned like the head and the neck, but I think like co-pilot dynamic, like say if we're talking about a business, you got the CEO and you got the employee dynamic, and that works for some successful businesses, but you also have like the board of trustees, a board of shareholders. So that looks like in the financial sense, instead of the man going and getting the money and he's the one that directs all decisions when it comes to that, Two people are playing off of each other's strengths. They say, you know what? I got you where you're weak, and you got me where I'm weak, and we respect each other where we're strong. So that man may be strong in going and getting the bag and establishing new income streams and starting new businesses and launching new products and choosing what's going to bring in money. But that woman may be strong in balancing the checkbook and allocating the bag and saying, we're going to put that money here, and it's going to grow and compound at this interest rate. Like, that may be her strength. So together on the financial piece, in terms of, you know, being the financial stronghold of the family or whatever, they both work together, so they both win. They play off of each other's strengths. And that same dynamic can apply across the board. When you're talking about the house upkeep, you know, like a man like me, even though I didn't have my father, I grew up around old school dudes. We work with our hands. You know, we installing starters, and we changing oil and tires and did roofing and all this other stuff. So I'm good with my hands. But guess what? Not so much when it comes to the cleaning. So a woman that's great with that and understands these are the cleaning schedules, this is the kind of chemicals we're going to use that's best, like, we will complement each other. That's how you work in a co-pilot dynamic. Same things for being in shape or healthy. You know, the man might be good at establishing exercise routines for the family. She may be good at the ingredients that she chooses for everybody to eat. So it's a co-pilot thing. But at the end of the day, the common denominator is a system. It's not submission or nothing else. You know, it's not even a co-pilot dynamic or nothing else. Is we have an understanding of how we're going to approach every new level of the relationship, achieve every goal, mend every broken part of the relationship, and face every, you know, unforeseen obstacle that comes our way before we even get into it. This is how we're going to contribute. This is how we're going to bring stuff to the table. That's the common denominator. That's what we need more than submission or a co-pilot dynamic. Long as you got a system, long as you have mutual respect, and long as you got two people who are committed to their contribution within that system, you're going to win. But those are just my thoughts. Y'all let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'll let y'all later. Peace.